welcome to Ergy Music Live here on the 23rd of April 2026. I'm back. Had a couple of weeks off there. If you're new here, hello. If you're not new here, hello. Gavin Maxwell in the chat. Hello, Michael Bishop. Yes. Hello. Quick introduction. My name's Adam Sutherland. I'm a fiddle player from near Loch Ness in the Highlands of Scotland. And just let me know if you are a believer, please, in the Loch Ness Monster. Let me know in the chat, because honestly, I just feel like it's difficult for me to do this if I feel like I'm talking to people who are so cynical that they don't believe. So it would go a long way for my encouragement and honestly the quality of broadcast that you're about to receive if you just let me know that you're believers. And even if you don't believe, just lie. I've been lied to about this before. Children. I asked some children, 9-year-olds, this once in a class. I said, I just want to know, before I continue to teach you this Gaelic waltz, and I was teaching them, can you just all confirm to me that you all believe in Nessie? And I just sensed that they were lying. And it was one of the coldest, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that can leave you feeling like, where's the hope for humanity? But for me personally, that was the coldest moment of my perhaps adult life, and certainly my career, when I realized that these 9-year-olds on the topic that was quite close to my heart, very close to my heart, on the existence of Nessie, they were just lying. Barefaced lying 9-year-olds on a subject close to my heart. So please let me know, and I won't be able to tell if you're lying, because I won't see the subtle smirks. Just let me know. Hey Jessica, what's up? Nice to see you here. Michael Bishop saying you can neither confirm nor deny. See, Michael, that's just not good enough, honestly, and I appreciate, you're very supportive of me, but I just need a bit more, please. Right, enough waffling. I am a student of music. I am trying to learn. I'm on my own little journey. I play the fiddle, as you can tell if you're new here. Brought up playing Scottish music. And when I was about 16, I was kind of left rudderless. A few years prior to that, my first fiddle teacher, the late great Donald Riddle, had sadly passed away. I got 3 years out of him. He was like 82 when I went to him for lessons, and I was 7 back in the late 80s. And and I went to Alistair Fraser's summer schools, and I came back from Alistair Fraser's summer schools so inspired to learn. And I realised I don't have a teacher, and I don't have another lesson really until Alistair's next summer school, which was a year later. So I set about trying to see if I could maybe not so much teach myself, but just see if I could maybe just get a wee bit better on my own. And to my surprise, I found out that I could get a little bit better on my own. And so I've just been chipping away at that since then. So a good few years now, and I've been really trying to work out, I've been trying to learn how to teach myself and how to just find a way from being unable to do something to being able to do it. A good conversation from my Patreon community was happening yesterday, initiated by Michael Bishop, who's a very valued supporter of me, even if he doesn't necessarily agree that there's a monster in Loch Ness. We can hopefully work through that. Maybe we can't work through that, but I will try to go out on the end of our relationship, Michael, on a reasonable high by just making a video that you were asking me about. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I'm trying to teach myself how to teach myself. It's one of the reasons I love teaching, actually, is if I can save someone the bother, it brings me massive sense of reward. My teaching is based on the fact that I can't just do it. I don't actually understand folk who can just kind of do it. I've never understood that. I had to work out and very, very slowly progress. I had to work it all out. So that's why I feel like I enjoy teaching, because even just saying it out loud makes it just make a little bit more sense to me in my head. Just going to check out the comments here, so I'm going to look this way. Sorley MacDonald in the house. What are you saying, Sorley? At first, I thought the title or the tie-dye drape behind you depicted a stag beetle, but I see that it is elephants in a tree. That's great, but what about Nessie? Come on. Yes, this is something that I got in Sri Lanka. There we go. Okay. This channel's, mostly about writing tunes, but this does relate, because I've often found that I've ended up writing a tune when I didn't set out to write a tune. I was actually just trying to practice what I was just referring to a minute ago. I was just trying to get better at playing the fiddle. So I was maybe focused on one particular area of technique, and then in doing so I just stumbled across some notes that were originally just like a kind of exercise that I would make up, and then I find out that I like those notes and then get a little bit distracted from my practice of getting better and end up writing a tune. So this is related to tune writing. I'm sure I've said this in this channel before, but Stefan Grappelli, the greatest arguably violinist ever, gypsy jazz, he said, and maybe this is just a poor translation from his native French, but he said, when describing a tune he'd written, he said, I found this tune just really, when I first heard that, it resonated big style, because that's what it feels like when I've been trying to work out some bit of technique, and I'll go into how I do this in a few minutes, but I find some notes that I like. So it's not like you write them or compose them. You stumble across them like you're walking through a forest and you stub your toe, and you weren't actually looking for them, but you find them nonetheless. So yes, I'm gonna now get into kind of like my basic principles that I have formed in terms of how I teach myself, and hopefully this can help. I know there was a couple of people in my Patreon, I think Jessica, who's here tonight now, was saying that there was one particular way of practicing arpeggios, because it was arpeggios that we were discussing, that she hadn't been taught, and that was good feedback for me just to get that. So maybe even if one little thing just changes you, then I would view that as a success from your point of view. Whenever I go to a class to learn something or watch a YouTube video, I don't expect myself to learn everything. Because if I try and expect myself to learn everything, I usually learn nothing. Whereas and it's also really intense and high pressure, I must learn everything or as much as I can. So I usually just go, what am I going to learn today? If I can just get one thing, but like really get it. And when I say really get it, it means like it literally changes. It stays with you beyond the lesson and changes the course of your journey. That's what I would rather do. I'd rather completely get something than not quite get loads of things. So I'm going to just look at the comments again. We've got Sorley. He has responded to my provocative remarks. He's saying, I've definitely seen inexplicable shadows on Loch Ness, particularly from Lower Balchagan, as you know. Wow. You do know that Nessie's not a real thing. Don't you? Joking. I'm just yeah. There's a whole conversation there about Nessie. I mean, who knows? Michael Bishop saying, would belief in Nessie be an ergy of judgment? I wish I had a massive applause button I could press that would go. Thank you, Michael. All right. Michael, I'm going to use the thing you were talking about. Michael was asking me about arpeggios in G minor, so I'm going to use that as an example. Actually, if you want me to change course with what I'm trying to do here, just let me know. Like if you want me to do like a different arpeggio or like a scale or any area of technique, that would be quite fun. But I'm going to start with a G minor arpeggio. And before I do that, I'm going to have a quick sip of water from my awesome mug. This is a Nintendo Game Boy mug. I mean, come on. When it's got hot liquid in it, the screen turns green and it's got Mario on it saving Princess. Come on. Right. I'm going to turn the heater off. Bloody boiling in here. Let's just say you were struggling to play an arpeggio. Any instrument. What is an arpeggio? It's a scale with teeth missing. That's how I imagine it. A scale obviously is like 8 notes. Arpeggio, you just take some of those out. And over 2 octaves it becomes. It's chaos in our little corner of the city that I live in. I don't know if you can hear that out there. If I couldn't do an arpeggio, I would start with what can I do? And I'll maybe just paraphrase this to you. If you're trying to do something, what can you do? So, can you play one note? If you can't play one note, then you need to work out what you can do. Find out what is your base level, where are you at, what can you do. So okay, let's say I'm struggling with a G minor arpeggio, I'm struggling, I would bring it back down to what can I do. Can I play a G? I'm going to just assume for the sakes of this video that you can do a G. Now obviously that's not a whole arpeggio, but that is a firm foundation from which to launch our getting better at G minor arpeggio thing. So I can do that. When I'm learning something, I like to go sit on the secure platform of what I can do, work out what that is, and then look at what I can't do and try and bridge the gap between here, what I can do and what I can't do. So what I mean by that is, rather than going straight from G to the entire arpeggio, that's too much. I would just go, can I just do G to the next step in the arpeggio? What is the next step in the arpeggio? In G minor, it's going from G to B flat. I'm going to deliberately get this wrong. Okay, that didn't work out so well. Alright, so I can play G. I can't really play B flat going from G. Can I play B flat on its own? Not really. Okay, learn how to play B flat. I use my tuner. I love my tuner. I am like a born again with my tuner because it is a scientific measuring device which I've been using. I'm in my 3rd year of this to train my brain and actually rewire my brain. I've struggled with tuning my whole life, and in the last few years I finally found the antidote to this. And I don't play in tune all the time, but I can check with an uncaring scientific device. So I'd be like, right, I wasn't playing B flat very well. I know I can play G. Let's just see if I can play B flat on its own. So I would learn how to play B flat. Baby steps. And after a while of playing B flat, I'm like, okay, I can play B flat. Can I go back to G? Can I go from G to B flat? Not very well. Practice the hell out of that. So it's not the whole arpeggio, it's just one little step. And I would just practice going from G to B flat. Slowly. Perhaps even with a metronome and a tuner, and just doing that one thing. And for me, this isn't like soul destroying or boring. This is like so satisfying. For a multitude of reasons. For me, it's I get anxious. I don't think I'm alone in this. I get anxious when I can't do something. I can't, when I'm venturing out of my comfort zone, something I can't do. I kind of get a bit anxious, and I've been doing a lot of teaching for a good few years, and I've come to realize that that's really common. People, when they leave their comfort zone and start trying to do something they can't do, very often there's feelings of anxiety, and that's why I find this satisfying, is just to kind of kill the demon of anxiety. It's also why I just give myself a really like bite-sized challenge. You know how sushi, Japanese food, is supposed to be like each bit's supposed to be the perfect wee bite? Learning is like that. I'm just a single bit of avocado maki. I'm not like shoving a whole thing. I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna be happy doing that. And I'd rather really, really, really say I sit down to learn how to play G minor arpeggio, but after like an hour of doing so, I couldn't play a G minor arpeggio, but I could play a G like a boss, and I could play a B flat like a boss, and I could go from G to B flat. If I could do that and do it well, and do it objectively well using my tuner and a metronome, then I'm happy. I'm not, I suppose this is what you call like EQ, emotional intelligence. I'm not being emotionally, I don't want to use the word stupid, emotionally daft by going, oh no, I didn't learn how to do the whole arpeggio in 1 hour. I think that is emotionally unintelligent to do that. And I'm saying that as someone who has done that. And I've had to work out that that's not very smart. So what I do is I go, I can't do the whole arpeggio, but I can do G to B flat. And just a wee recap, I couldn't really play B flat before, now I can play it. I certainly couldn't go from G to B flat, but I just did that back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. And I would be happy that that was a solid step. So a lot of words for what's actually quite a simple process. You're trying to do something you can't do, but you start by asking yourself, what can you do? And you just take a small step into what you can't do, just a tiny bit, and you don't move on. You don't just like make yourself do the whole arpeggio badly. I don't here's what I don't do. I don't go straight into and just do our G minor arpeggios kind of badly up and down. For me, practice is, I don't let myself off these days with getting it wrong. So I think a lot of folk when they practice, they'll just like go, and they'll be like, well, I didn't quite get every note in tune, but that's good practice. No, it's not. I don't think. Not for me. And I'm not going to say what anyone else should do. This is just what I do. But for me, that's not good practice, because your brain just does what it repeatedly does. Your brain will do in the future what it has repeatedly done in the past. No, your brain is more likely to do in the future what it's repeatedly done in the past. So if you repeatedly, say for an hour, practice your G minor arpeggios, and you don't just do G to B flat, you do the whole thing up and down kind of badly, then your brain, it's just like a good little doggy. Your brain will just be like, when you try and do this again the next day, or say a week later, your brain's going to be like, what do you want me to do today? And I'll be like, oh, can you please just do the G minor arpeggios that we were doing for an hour or 2 hours last Thursday, and your brain's like, yeah, I can do that, and it'll play it kind of out of tune because that's what it was doing. Your brain just learns by habit. So slow practice, just baby steps, but absolutely nailing it. Or if you don't nail it, you just keep doing it until you do nail it. You're creating new wiring in your brain, which is what I've been doing for 3 years. You're increasing the likelihood that on a different day that's what your fingers will do automatically. And if you're really fussy and you practice slow and deliberately and use a tuner and a metronome, then your brain eventually, like a good little dog, just goes, oh, that's what you want me to do. Why didn't you just say so? So it's like about giving your brain and your muscle memory, giving them a chance. If you play it not quite right for an hour, then you've just trained your brain to get it not quite right. And it just does what it's told. And then your brain, if your brain could speak, I love imagining it, what my various body parts, fingers, bow arm, brain, could say if they had a voice of their own. If your brain could speak, it would be like, wait a minute, you're annoyed with me for being out of tune. But like, come on, sorry to continue with the dog analogy, throw me a feckin' bone here. You want me to play in tune, but you didn't give me a chance. You expect me to play in tune when the other day, for hours, you played not quite in tune. I'm just doing what you told me. I'm just doing my best here, so come on. Okay, take a wee second. I'm going to look at the comments here. Jessica says, I notice that I get fatigued after practicing the same thing for a certain time period, with more errors, etc. Maybe it's different for everyone. When I start to make errors, is it best to stop? Yeah, I think so. I sometimes think just 5 minutes of really accurate practice is maybe all you need. And if you're starting to make errors, then yeah, I think you've answered your own question there. I think you know the answer. Yeah, you'd stop, because if you keep going and you keep getting it not quite right, then your brain just starts to go, oh, that's what I'll do. So it's like the fussier you are, the better you get, and vice versa. Like if you just let yourself off with various things, not playing particularly a nice tone, or not playing your best tuning or whatever, or your best rhythm, whatever it is, if you let yourself off with that, then that's you setting the kind of bar for how good you're going to get. Jessica says, my ego tells me to keep going. So that's impressive that you're able to like admit what your ego's telling you to do, because that's the first step, I think. You can't defeat the ego. Everyone's got one. You can't destroy it. It's always going to be there. It's like you just have to kind of like, I think of it as like driving and you just disengage the engine. It's like it's there, I can hear it, but I'm not going to do what it demands. Which in a way is slightly egotistical in itself. Right, I'm going to go back to G minor arpeggio. So I've got the hang of G to B flat. I'm pretty good, not perfect, but I'm good enough. So I'm going to go to the next step, which is a D. So I'll do the same thing I did before. How am I doing at playing D out with an arpeggio? Just like, can I play that note? On a fiddle, it's not too bad. It's an open D string. Alright, so I can play a D. If I can't play D, I'll just get good at that for a while. But if I can play D, I'm like, alright, how am I going from the previous note in the arpeggio, which is B flat, how am I going from B flat to D? Just like I was doing before, going from G to B flat, how am I stepping from that place to that place? Where's my B flats? And if that's not quite working, I'll just get good at that for a while. Until that, going from B flat to D is as good as going from G to B flat. So now I've got 3 notes of the arpeggio after a while, maybe taking a break. The next thing I would do then is I would then do every combination of every possible combination of notes with those three notes. So you can go from low to high, up. Right? Then I would do reverse. I'm never allowed to go to the next note, by the way. If I land on a note and it didn't work out, then I do that again. I don't just like land on a note, oh, it wasn't quite right, move on. It's like, back, do that again. Wasn't good enough. Better. So that's descending and ascending. Are there other combinations that exist with those three notes? I guess you could start and then go up to the higher note, or that's it. That's all the combinations. Starting to sound slightly less like an exercise and slightly melodic. Did you notice that? But I'm not trying to write a tune. I'm just playing all the combinations back to back. Starting to sound like a jig. And that's where I might get distracted and start going, oh, I quite like that, and maybe write a tune. That makes sense. Okay, I'm going to look at the comments. Michael saying, diagnosis of what's causing the error can be illuminating. Absolutely. I would go one step further and say, if it's not illuminating, then it's not diagnosing. You haven't diagnosed it properly. As soon as you've diagnosed the problem, it's immediately illuminating. I think there's a quote from Albert Einstein. Something like, if I was given 1 hour to solve the world's greatest problem, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem. I love that so much, because obviously what he's saying there is that if you really have defined the problem, he's saying two things, I think. He's saying, if you've defined the problem, then it doesn't take any time to see what the solution is. So he's not worried about only having 5 minutes left to fix the world's greatest problem, because he knows that once he's defined it properly, the solution is there. So if you want to fix a problem, he's saying, define the problem. Spend all your energy defining it, rather than trying to work out what it is. And I think you see that a lot in the world. People are arguing with each other online or in person, and they haven't really defined what the hell they're arguing about. And I'm guilty of that myself. So he's saying two things there. Yeah, define the problem and the solution is there. And I can't actually remember what the other thing he said was. Yeah, I said it's just about how much time you should spend. Which brings me to the next thing that I do when I'm teaching myself, when I'm playing, say you're playing something. I'm trying to teach myself piano just now, and I'm really enjoying it because I can't play it at all. I'm just learning basic scales really slowly with a metronome and some arpeggios. And what I like to do is, and this is going back to the defining the problem, I play it, a piece, I play a thing, and this can be what you can do, just play anything that you're working on. And there's I don't know if it's a cognitive bias or not, but it's a very common thing that when you're practicing or playing something and you get to a bit you can't really do that well, the temptation, I suppose the ego driven temptation, is to kind of skip over the bit that you can't really do, get to the bit you can do, have fun. It's the most human thing in the world. But you need to flip that on its head if you actually want to get better at what you're doing. What does flipping it on its head look like, sound like? Well, rather than playing through and getting to the bits you can do and enjoying those, you seek out, like some kind of bloodhound, the things you cannot do. You don't just like skip past them. You're actively trying to find out, what am I worst at? Or what do I find the most difficult? So stage one, what do you find most difficult? Identify it. Then I calm myself the hell down. I can't do that, and that's okay. I get myself emotionally really calm and accepting. I can't do that. That's okay. Oh, it's really hard. That's okay. Maybe it should be hard. It's really frustrating. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. Maybe it should be frustrating. Learning's hard. Yeah, it is. That's okay. And I just bat away all my anxieties with, that's okay. You're not saying your ego will be like saying, oh no, it should be easy, or I should be able to do this by now. You're just saying, that is hard. Yeah. Wow. That's harder than I thought. That's okay. So I calm myself the hell down with all these thoughts. And when I've got there, I'm like, okay, here's the bit I can't do. Step one. I'm calm about the fact that I can't do it. Totally calm. Now I'm ready to try and do stage 3, which is just diagnosing exactly what the problem is. So, like, what is it that's not happening? And again, this is where a tuner or a metronome will help you, because your tuner is so brutally honest. It will just be like, well, I can tell, hi, tuner here. Yeah, I've got some solid scientific data. I can tell you exactly what's not happening. And you're like, okay, tuner, you are my friend. You're the brutal friend. You're the friend who will tell you, say you were going out for a night out, and they're that friend who will say, look, I know you've just spent an hour getting ready to go out, but I cannot let you go out wearing that. I'm sorry. Those are the kind of friends we all really need, let's face it, right? So your tuner is like, not quite. So, stage 1, what can I not do? Stage 2, that's okay. I can't do it. That's okay. Humility, calmness. Stage 3, what's the problem? What exactly is it that's not quite right? Identify the hell out of that problem. Stage 4, do the thing that gets you better at the thing you can't do. This stage has an element of creativity and also an element of kind of just left-brained analysis. So, if my problem was, I don't know, like just going up and down cleanly, I would just play it slowly and cleanly. If it was like a scrappy, I'd be like, I would just slow it down and just practice playing it cleanly. And then you're telling your brain, this is what I want you to do. And your brain's like, oh cool, that's actually very helpful, thank you. So that's kind of my template. I'll just say it again. Looking for things I cannot do. This isn't, I don't always play like this. I sometimes just let off steam. But when I'm practicing, I'm in practice mode at home here in my shed. I call it the dojo. When I'm in dojo mode and I'm really trying to just build on my skills, what can I not do? How can I get myself to a state of calm about the fact I can't do it? Real like lashings of compassion and, self-kindness and just acceptance and kind of ego death thing. Oh yeah, you can't do it. That's okay. I can't do it. That's all right. Maybe it should be hard. Stage 2, stage 3. Okay. So what exactly is it that I think should be or could be better? A lot of diagnosing, the Einstein stage. Stage 4, make up a kind of exercise which if you do it, will result in you getting better at the specific thing. And then just practice it slowly, calmly, accurately, and you are reprogramming your brain. And if it was a stage 5, it would just be just love doing it. For me, it's really therapeutic to go from an anxiety about being unable to do something to then being able to do it. It's satisfying, which is again why the ego is such a stupid voice in my head and perhaps other people's heads, because the ego is like, I want to be able to do this now. I should be able to do this by now. I want to be able to do this now. And if you're in a class situation like lots of other folk are getting it quicker, I should be able to do this by now. They can do it. That's just like that bit of you that's impatient and wants to be able to do it more quickly, ironically, is the thing that is most responsible for making sure that you don't get it so quickly or don't get it ever. It's like a weird thing. So the most egotistical thing to do is to dismantle your ego, put it to one side, be completely comfortable with the fact you can't do it. But it's also it's that word humility. It's just like, you need to be okay. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but if you're learning how to do something, and you have to be okay with not being able to do it. Like, it's like I think it's possibly the most important thing I've learned about learning is, if I'm not okay being unable to do stuff, then what the hell am I doing? I'm trying to learn. What do you think? By trying to learn something, surely it's a given that you admit that you can't do it, so you may as well be okay with that. And I just find that the quicker I get to being okay with being not able to do something, the dismantling of the ego and having the humility and humbleness required, that I can then start to learn how the hell to do it. So that's kind of it. And that's what I've been doing, trying to teach myself like that, and I still am doing it, and I hope that makes some kind of sense. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any anything. I'm going to just play some stuff. I'm just looking at my tuner going, where the hell is G? Can I just land on G from D? Oh, a bit flat. I've been playing this note for like decades, and I still can't play in tune all the time. And that's okay. Let's bring in our notes. How do I feel about F? I think I like F. Last bit was that one was for you, Sorley. That was a wee bit of a bass line. Okay, comment from Jessica. So when learning a whole tune, you still hyper focus on the segments that you need to improve on? Question mark. I could hyper focus forever, but then you play the whole tune 6 months later. So a whole tune, I might, depends how long you've been playing, I suppose. But I teach a class on a Wednesday night, and they've been playing for about a year or two. So it's like, I just do a bite-sized chunk, and I get it to the point where they can play a phrase correctly, and then I repeat it lots and lots of times, because it's that thing of like your brain just does what it does most often. So if you've got it wrong 9 times and right 1 time, your brain's more likely to do the thing that it did 9 times. So if you get it wrong 9 times, you then really have to get it right 90 or more times. We don't play it 90 times in class, but we get it right lots. Then we get the next phrase, same thing. So now you have 2 phrases of a tune, and you might be able to play one phrase really well on its own, looping, and you might be able to play the other phrase on its own, looping. But it does not follow that because you can play one phrase and the other phrase that you can then also play one phrase straight into the next phrase. So then you have to do what I call like the welding. I'm really imagining you have to be able to play one phrase and then be able to get into the next phrase. So what I quite often do is like, well, the tune I was doing last night, Hammy Ski, which means I am tired in Gaelic. They learn that phrase, and then the next phrase, they learn that one. Oh, someone else joined the chat. Papana Anakundi, please tell me if I've pronounced that correctly. Hello, sir. Hello back at you. Welcome. So they can play that phrase, and they can play, but they need to be able to play the first phrase into the second phrase. So what I do is I think of what is the last note of the first phrase, and what's the first note of the next phrase. And I just practice the actual joining together of the two, which kind of reminds me of that you know when you get 2 drops of rain on your windscreen and they're separate drops and then they get closer to each other and then they join together and they go bloop and they become one new drop. That's how I think of learning tunes. You learn one bit, learn the other bit, and then you learn how to go from one to the other, and then they just become one bit. And you do that for the whole tune, and eventually your whole tune is lots of little drops that you've learned and hyper focused on individually, and then you've hyper focused on joining them all together so that it all just becomes one big blob, one big file in your brain. Jessica's saying that tune sounds like Cutting Ferns. Yeah, that is the name. Hammy Ski. It means Hammy Ski means I am tired, and then it's like the words of the song are Buain na Ranich. Ranich is bracken or ferns in Gaelic, I think, and Buain is cutting. So someone's basically written a song whilst presumably with a scythe, not a John Deere lawnmower, chopping down bracken, and they've written this song which basically says I am tired of cutting bracken, and that's basically it. So they're basically someone just moaning about their job, going, I hate this, as far as I can tell. And they've written an awesome tune. Musical therapy. So yeah, Jessica's just saying makes sense, learning segments then weld together. Yeah, that's it. And just looking for the weaknesses. So you might find your weakness might be, well, I can play that segment, I can play the next one, but I can't really flow. So what's the answer then? It's you have to practice going from one to the other. What's the last note of the first phrase? What's the first note of the next phrase? Can I just go and can I maybe just do that? And eventually you will have lots of little bits you can play well, and you'll have welded them all together, and then you have the ability to play a tune. So thank you, Jessica. That's a really good good addition to this thing about how to actually teach yourself a bigger tune. But it also kind of likes how to teach yourself like how to play an arpeggio. I can do that. I can do that. And then I can go. Can I go? Lots of welding. Lots of hyper focused practice on the individual elements. Lots of welding. That's it. And if in doubt, slow it the hell down. And we have someone else in the house who's just added the first comment. Joe Peck Productions 782. Hello, welcome. You're saying, thanks for this. I've just put this on silently to practice alongside. Amazing. Cool. Well, I hope this helps. It's like the ultimate skill in music or in anything. And it's often kind of like not really acknowledged, I think, as being so. People like say, oh, I'm so-and-so skilled at the guitar. But they're not speaking about how did they get good at the guitar. Unless they're one of those freaks who's just talented and can just do it. That's not me. I've had to just do it this way from the ground up, build up every single brick from scratch. So yeah, I kind of feel like I've said a lot there. 49 minutes. I thought this was going to be really succinct. I'm going to finish off with a wee recap. So, by the way, this is really helpful for me. This solidifies my own understanding in my own head. So what was step one again? Look for what you can't do. And if it's a case of an entire tune that's literally can't do anything, start with baby steps, find someone you can do, hyper focus on that. The next thing, what was stage two again? Oh yeah, calm yourself the hell down about the fact you can't do it if need be. Maybe you're calm, maybe you don't need that. But in my case, I quite often need to calm myself down because it's out of the comfort zone. Stage three, define the problem. What is it that's not quite working? Really define it. Do the Einstein. Stage four, invent a wee flurry of notes or a exercise that will result in you getting better at that. Yeah, and that's stage. I'm losing track of things. I'm a bit tired now. That's it. I was originally going to do a tune I'd written, but I got kind of, I don't know, I like this. It's teaching yourself how to teach. If you focus on that, then getting good at stuff just happens along the way. That's what I think. I think for me, I've been trying to work out how to get better rather than getting better. Getting better happens, and by working out how to get better, I've ended up writing tunes along the way, so I wasn't intending to write. Stumbling across tunes, finding little bunches of notes that were always there, that I didn't realize were there. So yeah, I have a Patreon community. If you're interested, you chat about this kind of stuff and other random stuff from my life. Feel free to come and say hello. There's a free section there if you're interested, or just if you're just happy just tuning in here once in a while. That's really meaningful to me as well. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and if you're in the future, hello in the future. Oh, thank you, Michael Bishop. Seriously good. I appreciate that. And thank you, Michael Bishop, for kind of instigating this conversation and some great feedback from yourself, and also for Jessica Fitforasak. I'm going to just list everyone who tuned in tonight and said hello in the chat. I know that's not everyone here. I know some of you tuning in silently. Thank you all for silently tuning in. So Michael Bishop, thank you. Gavin Maxwell, thank you. Sorley McDonald, thank you. Mr. McDonald, and Jessica, and Papana, and Akundi, and Joe Peck Productions, who is practicing right now. Yeah, this hopefully, like I say, just if even one bit of this you get, and just one bit makes a difference, then that's a success. I think you should view that as. Don't be like, I didn't quite get all of that. But like, if I set out to not get it all, but just get one thing, that's like something to feel good about. So much of learning is managing your kind of emotions, and you're learning how to be emotionally intelligent, and Yeah, I feel like I could probably talk more about this kind of thing. So, yeah, thank you all very, very much. I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'm going to go into the house and go and be a dad and a husband again. Jessica's off to practice better. Bye. Okay, great. Bye bye, everyone. Yeah, thank you for all the really interesting, thought provoking comments, and yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. So for me, Adam Sutherland, goodbye.